समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.
Hello and welcome to ThePrint. I'm Snehesh Alex Phillip and you're watching the Defense Scope. Last week, I did two stories on the submarine program of India, and that got me thinking. At present, India operates 19 submarines. These includes, of course, the 6 Kilo class submarines, that is of the Russian origin. You have the 4 Shishuma class submarines, that is of the German origin. Then you have the 6 Scorpion submarines, that is of the French origin. And of course, you have the 3 SSBNs, so which takes the number to total 19. Now, if you look at an immediate neighborhood, the one on the north, I'm not even doing any comparison with China because there is no point in comparing with China because as of now, China is believed to operate about 65 submarines compared to 19 of India. And it has outpaced even the US when it comes to submarine building, right? But if you talk about our Western neighbor, that is Pakistan, the numbers look very interesting. Pakistan at present operates 3 Augusta 90B submarines. Now, these are submarines that are of French origin, but have now been upgraded by Turkey. Of course, it also has 2 Augusta 70 submarines. These are very old submarines, which it is believed that it has been maintained by Pakistan along with Turkey. Along with that, Pakistan also has 3 midget submarines, which takes the numbers to 3 plus 2 plus 3, or let's say 5 plus 3, about 8, right? Including the major submarines. But what is interesting is that, Pakistan has also signed a contract with China for 8 modern Hangar class submarines, one of which has already been inducted and now has already been handed over actually and is now on its way to Pakistan from China. So by 2028, Pakistan, while it has ordered for 8 submarines, by 2028, Pakistan is most likely to get minimum 4 new submarines, which takes the numbers much higher. And the interesting part for India is that by mid 2030s or late 2030s, you will have our older submarines getting commissioned out. And that's where the real problem lies. And to understand where India's submarine program is really headed, I have with me Rear Admiral Chandra Shekhar Rao. He was a DG Naval Design, the Submarine Design Group from 2013 to 2017. Very crucial and critical years. Of course, following his retirement, he did join L&T, where he headed the submarine arm, and he's now retired from the L&T also. So welcome to ThePrint, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Sneha. Thanks for having me.
So my first question is, when you look at India's submarine strength as of today, what is the feeling that you get?
Well, as you brought out in your introduction, we have a fleet of, as you said, 19 submarines. But if you take out the SSBNs, which are really not operated by the Navy, the Navy really is operating only 16 submarines, as compared to probably something closer to 20 or even 24, as per the 1999 plan that we had envisaged. So we are short, and apart from the Scorpion submarines, all the other submarines are really, should have been at the end of life, and we should have been already, rolling out the replacements by now. So we are short of submarines, and the submarines we have are not really the the latest ones.
So, if I'm not, let's say by 2028 or let's say by 2030, Pakistan is going to get at least 6 new submarines, right? I'm saying at least. I'm most likely that they are going to get all the 8. But even let's assume, even if there's some delay, by 2030, they're going to get at least 6 new submarines. So do you think that the parity or right now India has an advantage over Pakistan when it comes to submarines? But do you see that advantage shrinking?
See, I mean, I don't think when you talk of an adversary in the maritime domain, we really talk of numbers, and particularly something like submarines. It is more, the way these submarines are operated, the extent to which they are operated, and the capabilities of both the submarines and the people who operate them. So I would really not, be too worried in terms of comparisons. But yes, what we have to look at is that uh, the submarines which they're getting, and if they have those 8 numbers, they would definitely be closer to the state of art than what we have. So in terms of capabilities, we need to look at, they are AIP submarines.
Yeah.
And by then, we may not have more than 1 or 2 AIP submarines, and I'm talking about the AIP submarine, which would be a retrofit of the
Scorpion one.
of the Scorpion, this thing, which by next year, that process should start. So that is why, yes, we would be short in terms of the capabilities of submarines, but I still don't think that is something which is going to be a great advantage if it comes to, I mean, a great disadvantage if it comes to a conflict.
It comes to a conflict. So just for our viewers, while of course India is going, Pakistan's new submarines are all with AIP. Pakistan already operates submarines with the AIP. The Augusta 90B are AIP enabled submarines. So, but when the 90s was a lost decade as far as the defense modernization was concerned, right? But towards the late 90s is when you really had the submarine 30-year submarine program is finalized. It got finalized in 1999, out of which there were 24 submarines that were to be built by 2030. Of the 24 submarines, we've managed to build only 6. Why is that, sir? Where did India as a country fail, and where did Indian Navy also fail, sir?
See, it's. I think it's a little harsh to call it a failure. Yes, we probably did stumble. If you see the 1999, the CCS paper came at a time which was just after the HCW scandal.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what was supposed to be Project 75 was supposed to be a sort of a derivative of the SSK program. But then HTW became a sort of a bad word after that, and we had to look elsewhere. Now, when the other important aspect to also understand is that 1999 was just a year after Pokhran 2. Okay, so the thinking at that time was that we should have 2 concurrent lines of construction. One should be a Western origin and one should be an Eastern origin, so that no sort of technology denial regime could impact us in a drastic manner. So that was
and
the
when you
broad
say
thing.
Eastern, means the Russian.
Yeah. So that was the initial thinking at that time, and but initially both Project 75 and what came to be known as 75I were being pursued by naval headquarters concurrently, very much in line with the 1999 CCS plan. Eventually, P-75 became, we went to the French for the Scorpion. And it was on a nomination basis. It was almost like a single tender basis, that we went to the French. But at some point of time, Naval Headquarters felt that the government will not be able to give money for two lines of submarines concurrently, and that too imported in terms of the technology being imported, TOT, because that was the whole premise of the first phase of the 1999 CCS plan.
Yeah.
And consciously, Naval Headquarters said that let us first pursue 75. Once the 75 contract is signed, then we will go back to the government for 75I. So what was envisaged to be concurrent lines de facto became sequential lines. So that is one of the reasons of the delay. When 75 eventually came, right?
In 2005, when the contract was signed.
In 2005, the contract was signed. There was a 1-year preparatory period, and the actual construction was to start from 2006 and all.
Yeah.
But this contract for building went to MDL. MDL, which had built the 2 Shishumar class submarines, there was a long gap. One. They had already lost some of the the workers, and the capabilities had dwindled to a certain extent. And here they had to encounter a completely new way of construction, in the sense they had to unlearn or relearn some of the things. So there were teething troubles there. The type of information which they got from the HTW and what they got from the French, DCNS, then subsequently Naval Group, was in a different manner. So all this led to the program actually taking longer. Of course, you're aware of the whole, the material package cost going up and all, which led to several delays, and that's how you had Kalveri being commissioned in 2017, whereas
the last submarine was supposed to be delivered.
Absolutely. So that was the delay. So now, as I mentioned, 75I became sequential. So immediately after the contract for Scorpion was signed, the submarine arm of the Navy, initiated the whole, the process for 75I.
Yeah.
Whereas initially 75I was mooted to go, was to be of Eastern origin or Russian origin.
Yeah.
By then, the thinking had slightly changed. And within the Navy, a number of options were, debated. And there was a proper debate which took place that, okay, should 75I be another 6 Scorpions? That means we established 2 lines of Scorpion, but it was argued that no, the whole idea was to have 2 different lines of construction.
Yeah.
2 lines, but then they should be distinct lines. Should it be Russian? In fact, there was also a view that, okay, since we have been working on another indigenous submarine program, can the Navy itself, design? That is the Directorate of Naval Design. Can they do the design? All this was debated, and I mean, to cut the long story short, it was decided that 75I would be a limited global tender, and we would go to, I mean, not necessarily east or west. We would keep the thing open to both. And whoever is L1 or L1 T1 should win.
And the Russians walked out of it because Russians did not want to get into a bidding process.
Yes. But that was much later. In fact, so that is how the whole process of 75I started. Now, I mean, one can always look back in the rearview mirror and be wiser. Maybe if at that time the Navy had taken a leap of faith and said that, okay, let us, let the Navy design its own submarines, Today, we might already have an indigenous conventional submarine of our own. 75. True. I mean, I being real Indian. In that case. But that was not to be. And regrettably, I mean, even till today, 75I contract has not been signed. I mean, while we have moved ahead, it has sort of, gone into a spiral. And now we are waiting for that contract to be signed. So that's the reason for the delay.
That's the reason for the delay. So you're saying in a sense that somewhere in 2005, 2006, the whole discussion changed from having two submarines, the whole discussion changed on what kind of submarine are we looking at, and you said that there was a section which felt that we should go the indigenous way. That is the Project 76, because if you go by the 1999 plan, they were supposed to have two simultaneous projects, Eastern and the Western Bloc, that is 75 and 75 India, and then Project 76, under which 12 submarines were to be built. And this was supposed to be the indigenous submarine. And that comes to, my...
Sorry, I'll just clarify.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that, Project 76 was to be advanced. No. There was a thinking, and now all this was sort of debate within the Navy that should we continue with the Scorpion line? Should we go for another line of construction as originally envisaged in the 1999 CCS paper, or should we do our indigenous design? Finally, after all these discussions and debates, a conscious decision was taken that no, we will stick to the concept of the 1999 CCS paper, which was that phase one, comprising of 6 P75 and 675I, would be building submarines in India, but under TOT, so that we could get technology and use that learnings and that technology in the second phase, which is the 12 submarine, which now is being called Project 76. So it was that let's continue with the original thinking of 1999 and continue in that. But as I said, procedurally and due to various reasons, the Project 75I has got severely delayed, and we've still not signed a contract.
Yes, we've still not signed the contract, and hopefully this contract would be signed this fiscal. And for the viewers, as per the RFP, the first submarine is supposed to be delivered 7 years from the signing of the contract, and subsequently one every year, right? So, are we doing the mistake that we did in the 1990s? That is, we let the experience or the knowledge that the MDL gained go down the drain by not going in for new submarines. And why I'm asking this is because the last Scorpion submarine was commissioned in 2024. Right now, we are in 2026. Over the last 2 years, the MDL, there was a proposal for procuring additional 3 Scorpion submarines. For the last 2 years, the workers and the specialists who've gained experience on the Scorpions are just sitting idle in MDL. Are we letting go of manpower? Are we wasting India's manpower?
Oh, this is a very painful question, if you ask me. And my answer, of course, is I'm not answering on the Navy's behalf or anything. I'm answering, in the capacity of somebody who has worked in the submarine ecosystem, who understands the nuances of the ecosystem. Unlike the design and building of surface ships, the skill set which is required for submarines is something which is different, right?
Yeah.
So when you're looking at the submarines, it should be looked at with a different lens. It doesn't always happen. I mean, people tend to sort of slightly extrapolate experiences and these things of surface ships and feel that the same is applicable even in the case of submarines. So Yes, you are right. We probably are sort of, repeating what happened in the 90s by not engaging the submarine building yards to build, because world over, it is acknowledged that for the submarine skill set to continue, you need to have a constant drumbeat of building. So it is a sort of a strategic capability, a capability which needs to be nurtured through a long-term plan where you ensure that these yards are constantly engaged in some form or the other. I mean, I'll just slightly deviate. I don't know, many people may not be aware that just at the time when World War II started, Italy was the country which had more number of submarines than US and Germany combined at the start of the war.
Yeah.
But by about 1943, they had already lost half their submarine fleet. The Italians, they capitulated, and their submarine, their complete submarine fleet was disintegrated. Some of them were sunk. Some of them were distributed between the Allies. And after that, the Italians never could really revive their whole submarine building ecosystem. So a country which had a rich history actually lost it. And this is because you need to keep that engaged. And subsequently, when they joined NATO after the war, they had a different role where submarines really didn't figure in their equation. So that's the sort of the story, and we need to learn from the experiences of even the other countries, and ensure that yards like MDL, even LNT, which for another project is doing it, are constantly engaged in some way or the other.
So, while we are talking about submarines, the world over, there's an increasing reliance on underwater domain, right? Personally, I've always felt that the Indian Navy is too focused on the surface ships, right? And more on aircraft carriers, and not necessarily on the underwater domain, right? And just an example that I always give is that we have such a glorious history of the Indian Navy, but only one submariner has become the Navy chief, right? I'm talking about Shekhar sir, for the viewers. That is Admiral Vijay Singh Shekhar, who was the Navy chief between September 1993 to September 1996. So he was the first and the only one, right? It has always been dominated by the executive class, that is the surface ships, or by aviators. Do you think that there is a disparity in the Navy, or is the Navy too, or do you think that the Navy is too focused on carriers and surface ships and leaving the submarine as, let's say, the distant cousin?
No, I really don't think so. And I mean, there is no correlation between, which, who is the chief of the naval staff from which branch and all that. Because I think, somebody who becomes the chief of the naval staff, and of course he has his team of advisors, they all are focused on what the Navy needs. So, yes, the Indian Navy is focused both on submarines as well as on aircraft carriers. There is a strong view that both are required, and I think that is correct. So I don't think the situation with respect to the submarine fleet is because there is no focus of the Navy. The Navy has its complete focus on the requirements of the. It's a complex thing, it's a lot of the whole acquisition process, the acquisition policies, etc. All those are contributory factors to where we are with respect to this shortage. But definitely it is not because of the Navy's focus. The Navy has always been pursuing the requirement of submarines.
So, the China, when it develops something, be it aircraft carriers, surface ships, or submarines, they develop it like a cookie clutter. Once they got the design and once they got the initial ones, it's like it comes out in like cookie cutters, right? And this is something which is feared as far as the Hangor class of Pakistan is concerned. Those eight can eventually become 12 and eventually become 16 also, right? And they would end up doing it faster, at a much faster pace than even India, right? So in your sense, by 2040, right, or by mid 2030s, what is the ideal force level that is needed as far as submarines are concerned? And if you're talking about, and Operation Sindoor has shown that it's not just a two-front war, it's one front where multiple players come into play, right? So what is the ideal force strength that you need for Indian submarine arms, sir?
See, to be honest, I'm really not the competent person, when we talk about force levels and all that, given my, specific background. So I would go with the premise that, the plans as they exist today, that is to have so many number of conventional submarines, of which some of them are going to be AIP submarines, the Project 77, etc. That the Navy has already sort of thought of what it requires, and it is. What is perhaps lacking is the ability to convert those plans into real hardware in the time that we need. So I would go with the with the thinking that yes, what the Navy has already thought, that is adequate. What you are going to see, of course, and Operation Sindoor has definitely brought in a focus of unmanned vessels. That tomorrow's Navy is going to be a hybrid Navy. Even when you come to the underwater domain, you are going to have a sort of a mixture of manned submarines as well as unmanned underwater vessels of different types, small ones, large ones, the XLUUVs, etc. And Navy's already started working on this. In fact, as a submarine designer, as somebody who follows, the submarine technology, my prediction is that the submarines of the future are going to have a role of becoming sort of drone carriers. A part of their payload is going to be able to release drones and operate and control the drones from at a very far distance from shore. So all that is going to happen. So what we really need is to have a sort of an ecosystem where we can translate our plans into reality. I'm saying it in very simple words. I know it is extremely complex and this thing to do it, but that's what it is.
So going ahead, what are the projects that one is expecting? You mentioned Project 70, Project 17. What is
75I.
77? What is 77? What is 76? What is 75I?
So see, we know what is 75I. It is 6 conventional AIP submarines which are going to be built in India under TOT. Project 76 is the next phase of the 1999 CCS plan. That is indigenous submarine. That is the Navy designing its own submarines. Work on that is already underway. Project 77 is again something which the government has recently approved. Numbers today are a little different from what may have been originally planned, and probably it will go incrementally. But Project 77, from what we see in the open domain, are the SSNs.
Yeah.
So these are certainly things which are in the immediate horizon.
So this the just for our viewers, the 70 7 was formed out of 76, because originally the plan was that 12 submarines would be built under 76.
Yes.
Then under Defense Minister Manohar Parrikar, a decision was taken to convert 6 of these 12 into SSNs, of which
Yes.
currently the CCS clearance is for 2. I think it will go in batches.
Yeah, that's what I said when I meant.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I meant when I said incrementally.
Yeah. So, and that comes to my question, which is something that many people ask, and they say that, boss, India is building SSBNs, right? India has built 4 so far, commissioned 3. There are another 2 which is in works. Now India is also building SSNs. Why is that India is not able to build a regular conventional submarine? Why?
Yes, it's a valid question. I mean, if you look at the fact that we have not done so till now, but I can say with hand on heart and with a total conviction that it is not because of the lack of ability or the lack of capability to do so. If the submarine designers of the Navy, together with our industry, was told that, okay, we want to build conventional submarines, indigenous ones, can you do it? The answer is yes, it can be done. So it is just waiting for a decision from whoever takes that decision that, okay, go ahead and start on the design and subsequently the construction of a conventional submarine. It can be done.
So you're saying that decision has not been taken yet? I thought that decision was already in work.
So as I mentioned to you, there was a debate right back in 2006 or so that should we embark in the phase 1 itself to have an indigenous 75I, and with whatever consideration, it was decided that no, we will do it only as part of phase 2 as envisaged in the 1999 CCS paper. So Project 76 is that conventional submarine which the Navy has already started on its design. But what I'm saying is, I'm trying to answer the question that why have we not done it till now? It is only because till now that decision to do it was not taken. It is being taken for P76, but it was not taken earlier.
Okay.
So the capability both of the designers exists. The capability of the shipyards, that is MDL, L&T, etc., to build the submarines exists. The caveat which I was saying was that our industrial ecosystem still does not have all the ingredients which are required for a conventional submarine till now. Okay. We are getting there. There's a lot of indigenization which has happened for some of the other projects. Which
when you say about nuclear, when I speak to people that I know of, they tell me that that India has acquired a high level of indigenization when it comes to the SSBNs. Of course, the first Arihant had much less, but on the third and the fourth, we've reached a very high level. I don't want to get into the numbers, but that's very high. So why do you say that while on the SSBNs we've reached high indigenization but not capable for the conventional one?
Yeah. So see, conventional submarines have much more stringent power requirements. That is one. Secondly, the propulsion itself. You have the diesel generators and you have the electric motors.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are the areas. One is what we need for conventional submarines is equipment which is a little more compact, given that as compared to the nuclear submarines, conventional submarines tend to be smaller. They need to be much more economic in terms of power consumption. So that is one more factor.
Yeah.
But two major components which today we do not have ready-made are the diesel engines, which can what we call the propulsion diesel engines. Unlike diesel engines which are used for other application, here you have diesel engines which need to be able to withstand the back pressure. Because when you dive, you do switch over to batteries, but then when you're snorkeling, there is a considerable amount of back pressure, and you need the systems and the diesel engines to be able to operate at efficiency there. Our industry has still not been able to build it. There are some industries who have done a smaller scale,
but not on a
that.
bigger scale.
Yes. The second is the motors. A conventional submarine requires a motor typically of about anywhere from 3.5 to 4.5 to 5 megawatt capacity, and very, very compact, very compact. They are usually permanent magnet motors. Our industry has still not been able to develop. There is an industry in Hyderabad, Medha, which is sort of developing something, but we still don't have. So these are the things we are lacking. So if we focus on these developments, and if you look at 75I, where a lot of indigenization is mandated. In fact,
one submarine is supposed to come with 45% indigenization.
No, 45 is no, it's not exactly like that. I'll just slightly clarify. The figures 45 and 60 are correct. 45 is the indigenization level at the project level. That is across 6 submarines.
Okay.
And if you take the project cost, it also includes certain other things. So 45% of that project cost, there should be indigenization. 60% should be the indigenous content for the last submarine.
Okay. Okay. That
yeah. And if you really start doing your math, you will find that it is still possible to achieve 45% at overall project level, but 60% for the last submarine is not an easy thing. Okay. And this is because the industry, even if it's willing to invest, it needs some assurance that okay, I invest something today, I should be getting orders even for the future submarines. So if we are able to do that, yes, we will be able. So we need to focus on some critical equipment for submarine. When it comes to many of the other systems, we are self-sufficient. Even in things like sonars, torpedo handling systems, torpedo firing and handling systems, even the periscopes, etc. I mean, we've made great strides in that. But for conventional submarine, these are 2 critical areas where we need to focus. And if we are able to do that, we will even have indigenous this thing. We will have the complete indigenous capability to even have the equipment for the submarines, all major equipment Indian. But sorry, I'll just finish. The capability to design exists. The capability to build the submarine exists.
Okay. So right now under P75 India, there are 6 conventional submarines that are to be built with AIP. And then I'd done the story last week that India is also looking at ordering for additional 3. So 3 is the competition is between whether 3 additional Scorpion submarines or additional the TKMS one, the German ones. And I believe that it is likely to be the additional 3 German ones, right? Which means that 9 boats. Do you think it makes sense? For example, right now, there are only 2 proper shipyards in India which is making submarines. One is the MDL, and which is a straight run one. And the other one is for the special projects, right? The SPC, which is there, which is in Vizag. L&T as a shipyard is involved with the SPC there, right? So a lot of engineering work has been carried out by L&T. But L&T was also a bidder as far as the P75 India program is concerned. L&T had tied up with Navantia. It couldn't make the cut on technical grounds as far as the Navantia is concerned. So do you think that the government should, instead of going for the L1 criteria or the T1 criteria, should actually go in for what they did with the Scorpions, pick up the submarine that it wants to build, and also probably split the order between the Straiten MDL and the private shipyard L&T, so that we can have two production lines as far as submarines is concerned. And this is the production line that can also be used for the P-76, right? So in a way, nines under P-75 India and another minimum 6 under P-76, which means 15 submarines, right? Is that the way forward? How do you look at it, sir?
Absolutely. In fact, I would go, to the extent of saying that is the only way forward. As we saw, we've lost a lot of time. We will not regain that time if we restrict it to this whole L1 sort of thing and go only to one shipyard. It makes a lot of sense to go to L2 and say that, okay, at L1 price, please also join up and build the submarine. We will be able to recover a lot of the lost time. Not all of it, but we will certainly be able to recover. Just imagine if we split the 75I, whether it is 6 submarines or it is 6 plus 3 submarines between the 2 yards, in the same time that you're going to build, you'll be able to build all 9 in half the time that that you would have otherwise built it. So, it's a no-brainer, really, if you really ask me. And you are having, the added advantage that you're nurturing two sort of shipyards and giving them this sort of capability. And this is what the Koreans have done. This is what the Japanese have done. In fact, the Americans very consciously, after the Cold War, before that they had 7 yards building submarine. They could have done with only 1 for the numbers, but they consciously said that we need 2 yards to build it. So I think it makes eminent sense to do that.
Okay, perfect. So in your way, do you think that you've been the DG Submarine Design team, in your sense, what do you think is the right way forward as far as India's submarine plan is concerned?
Do I interpret your question in terms of how we take forward the?
How do we take forward this, and what is the timeline that we should have, and whether there should be a priority project that is directly monitored by a senior team, maybe outside the Defense Ministry itself at the PMO level, because submarine becomes a priority. How do you see?
No, I don't think we need to go to the PMO level. We already have an organization which is steering a very complex program.
Yeah.
That program, that program organization has proved to be very, very successful.
Yeah.
It has got all the the necessary expertise, etc., from submarine program. To me, and I have been sort of very. I have seen them from very close quarters. They are ideally suited to steer any submarine building program of the Navy, and they would be the ideal ones. If I was asked to advise, that would be my.
So the structure that you're talking about is the structure for the nuclear submarine program, that is the ATV project. This was for the viewers. Yeah, please go ahead, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about something like the program which steered the nuclear submarine. So some organization like that is well suited to take on all types of submarine programs, and so that is one thing. The second is that what we just spoke, that consider both the shipyards who today already have gained the experience and expertise in submarine building and use them gainfully. You will be able to reduce the overall construction time. Third is, task the Indian Navy's submarine design group to don't again go sequentially. Don't wait for 75I to get over to start P76. P76 has already started. It should continue and go. And as we go along, I mean, there is already a lot of legacy inputs which can be utilized in the P76 design. Anything more which comes from, say, 75I, etc., can always be plowed in judiciously at some point as we go along, rather than wait that okay, let us have 75I done, then move on 76. If we do all this, we should be able to probably recoup some of the time that we've lost. And by the mid-30s or so, we should have a substantially, large fleet of submarines, closer to the numbers that we were envisaging.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rear Admiral, for speaking to the print. I hope people who are taking these decisions or people who help take these decisions watch this video and realize how critical spot we are in as far as India's submarine plans are concerned. And I think the right step, the right decisions taken at this point of time would shape what India's submarine arm would look like, mid 2030s onwards. But thank you so much, sir, for speaking to the print. A pleasure always, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.